Hey yo YouTube, I am here to continue talking about my D&D game. Start this campaign off where we left off, where we were still in the winery. Not really much happens this scene. Like, I asked Maris if the mimics that she was fought in the games look like Tyrannus, and she pretty much says it looks like him in his prime, because now he's like almost an elder. I know Rawrite ends up doing like I want to say they ask him to do a performance where he ends up playing music and telling stories of our battle. I know the little kid Wimmick like doesn't look impressed, and like Rawrite's doing like some type of illusion thing, and he makes like a little fart go its way, and it like just turns around and walks away. Um, Eventually, I ask if I got permission to come and go. If so, I go camp out in the woods. Um, Eventually, it comes up with the rest of the party, and they end up making camp somewhere too with a tent that Beck has. Um, the next morning, the DM asks when everyone gets up. I'm done. I want to say everyone else was like around 9, which is a little later for our group. Um, but like my character's like standing near the entrance, and like two Wemmicks end up running through and they go inside the winery. It looks like they're in a hurry. um Eventually Tyrannus comes out and he tells us that there's a report that there's a group of canine folks that have been spotted. um we ask how many, they end up saying 200, and that there's they won't be able to beat them without this group and Scorpio's group. Um, we ask if they're on the move or if they're stationary, and they said that they're just blocking the way. Uh, we talk about, like, I think I bring up we could just wait for Scorpio to attack them and then we attack them at the same time. But then it's like, well, they might be confused because Scorpio might think that we're attacking both groups. So we end up deciding to go talk to Scorpio. Last session it was unclear, but like Scorpio's territory is just like an hour to a few hours away. So we travel down there. Um, the DM does a surprisingly good job of talking between both characters, Scorpio and Tyrannus. But they start talking. It's like some talk about territorial disputes, and Tyrannus kind of says these dog folks are on my territory, so I'm gonna attack them no matter what. Um, Eventually coming to the agreement that to attack them together. So we head down there. DM puts up the battle map, lets us like rolls initiative, and then tells us initiative, and then tells us to set where we are. We end up pretty much all put ourselves in a line. And we see a big row of like the front row is the medium sized bulldogs. The middle row is like the big ones, not the pit bull that Nina took over, but the other one. They had a big row of them, and in the back row there's about 4 or 5 like wolf-looking ones. At the beginning of the fight, Nina ends up saying to everyone that she's gonna cast a spell, so to stay back. Um, Onyx initiative is before her, so I end up doing a half a movement, and I do a prepare action for my halberd to do double damage on a charge. So eventually, like almost everyone holds their attack. Like there's a few people who have range weapons, and for whatever reason they decide not to use them. But eventually, like Nina does some type of like smoke cloud and ends up roll initiative or roll a saving throw. If you fail it, you take 1d4 of con. If you pass it, you take half of that. So if you roll a 4, that's 2. It's pretty good either way. She hits a good chunk of the middle. Eventually, a bulldog ends up charging me. Uh, get the double damage. Uh, for a second, it ends up looking pretty hairy because, like, Like I end up getting surrounded by three of the bulldogs. The wolves are in the back, just like shooting arrows. Uh, at first, I thought it was going to be the bulldogs that were shooting, and I was like, "Dang, they're not going to charge me then." But like I said, it ends up being the wolves. Uh, and uh, Kotaku and Ivan are on the are on one side of the map, and they end up coming down, and they're that side of the map like gets pretty hairy. Like there ends up being a lot of them down there. Like I said, I end up getting surrounded by like four of them or three of them, and eventually a wolf ends up running up. And for a few seconds, or for a few rounds, the Scorpios group, and even to a point, Tyrannus's group, they kind of just wait for them to come to them. So there's a couple rounds where they don't do nothing, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna betray us. Um, but eventually they do start fighting. Uh, I know at one point I have one of the bulldogs down to one hit at the start of the turn or the start of the round. So I know I should be able to take him with one hit. So I hit him, and then I put all three hits into, because then I have a cleave, and I put all of them into the wolf that came up and hit me. And right before that, Rawright put a critical into his throat. So I do my cleaves. I hit him twice out of the three, and he ends up getting knocked or taking him down. And then I put the third hit on the bulldog. Eventually, Kotaku and Ivan were down the hairy group that's in that area. Um, he says that Scorpio's group and stuff pretty much hold their own. Um, I don't remember who got the how do you want to do this, and whoever did it didn't they we didn't do that anyways, but either way I don't remember who got the last hit. Um, at one point Nina does a spell on one of the wolves to put him down. It drops him down to 0 hit points, and he's like unconscious. So after the fight, Nina goes up to him and starts doing a telepath communication, and she asks him who sent him. I want to say she pretty much just says that he says it's the games people that we attacked last time, the people who own the dog or used to own Ivan. Um, uh, she asked she asked exactly what's their mission, and it was to keep the Wemmicks from getting back to the fortress. Um, there might be I know she asked a few things that he can't answer. But pretty much that was the important thing was that they were there to stop us, which to a point we already knew. Um, So we go back to Scorpio and Tyrannus and say we need to. I think we need to head back, stuff like that. For all we know, they're sending another group. Scorpio ends up assigning the two black ones with crossbows and the big one to come with us. Tyrannus sends the older one, the kid, and one of the nun-looking Wemmick females. So we head back to the fortress. When we get to the fortress, we end up seeing these big red banners on it, and it has like these symbols. Um, they're two different ones. The Nina doesn't notice the first one, and then the other one has a symbol of a cutlass that's chrome, uh, which Nina recognizes as the symbol of Montague, which is like in the old world, he was a villain in Midgard. In this world, I guess he's some kind of a hero. But it's something to do with like a set or a battalion he runs or something like that. And then she looks at the other one and she's able to notice it. Um, we go in there. They let us through. Eventually, Nina ends up talking privately with the person who's running this place. Like the the people are somehow allied with Nina's family, and they pretty much kind of say how they've never really been able to put a foothold in this area and stuff, and they're using this as an opportunity. But like I said, they talked to Nina privately, and and because Nina's been trying to get into like this like adventure guild or this group that New Loran has, and pretty much they tell her that they're pushing that, and that this will be the third time that her family's been trying to get into like the secret circle, and every time it's failed. And and if she's unsure and something like that, to let them know because she has sisters that could take her place. They tell her to make sure your party trusts you and you have good relationships with all your party. If you think you don't, then mend them. Uh, like they say stuff about get closer to Beck because she's a half vampire to get know more about her, stuff like that. Um, some of the things I think he said because the DM know like I've mentioned to the DM that Onyx Guard really doesn't care for Nina. So I wonder if he was kind of like dropping that in there because I don't know if the player realizes that or if the DM before I said anything actually realized that either. And they say that they're gonna have all of us have all the members of the party kind of be like inducted in and stuff and they tell her that it's up to her if she wants to tell the party about this now or how much or if push it off till later. Um, when she's done, she ends up deciding that she wants to at least tell us a little about it. Um, she kind of goes over it, but she really doesn't explain what it is. So like Onyx is like, well, I'm a warrior and I live through a strict code like me making because I want to say like we have to make like some kind of vows or something like that. That's not the right term, but it's something to that point. And I say if I'm going to do something like that, I have to get it passed with my pride or with the wise ones. And and Nina's like, well, I'm pretty sure the wise ones are kind of involved in something like this. And I'm like, well, what you told us was kind of vague. So I don't know. And then like Beck's like, yeah, I kind of agree. What you say is kind of vague. Like I would have to hear or know more about this before I was agree to this. And that's where the DM pretty much wraps it up. Uh, we do before that. Nina did get her vision of how to open the door, and we do say we want to leave as soon as possible because the rogue-like mimics are around humans and they've been known to eat them before. Which after the fight they started like eating the dogs. Um, we got some fairly good loot off of that too, by the way. Uh, and so yeah, so next session in we're supposed to be opening up the door and going through it. Predictions. Again, I think we're gonna get to the null, which last week my prediction was wrong. Either we're gonna get to the null or we're gonna head to the next tribe of mimics and continue the mission. So you want to know the rest of the story, watch the rest of my videos. You want to know the whole story, watch all my videos, and check you later.